What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
Ben, I'll tell you what's poppin' today.
What's poppin' today?
It's my Tuchus.
Oh no!
There's no doubt.
Oh no! I know this has been I felt so bad for you all week.
Real problem. It's been a real problem for me this week. It was Wednesday morning. I was at the gym. I was doing some deadlift. And I went to go lift the weights, and something just went right there in the right butt cheek.
Oh man!
I mean, there were just some serious shooting pains going all the way down my leg, and at this point, it just feels like I maybe got like a really nasty Charlie horse. Like I've just got some severe muscle soreness. But I mean, when I say Charlie horse, I mean it feels like a truck hit me in the butt, and it is. Like I'm saying it now because like weirdly, the thing that is the hardest to do is sitting.
Which is such, no pun intended, a bummer.
It is such a bummer. You know what, pun intended? This is the pop, corny joke accomplished.
Yay!
Woo!
We can check that box right out of the gate.
Bingo. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like standing is okay. Sitting, horrible. I had this, as I was driving to work today, I literally had to stop the car twice to just get out and walk around because of the pain of sitting in my driver's seat. And I was like running. I was getting real close on running yellow lights. I was like, I cannot stop. I cannot be sitting any possibly longer. Like we're risking it for the biscuit right now.
Oh my gosh! I mean, your commute is like 15 minutes.
It's like 20 minutes. Yeah. So it's not tremendous. So I'm just saying it now. So if you're watching and you see me stand up at any point, it is because I'm just stretching my butt out, and it's real painful. Sitting is hard, and you are going on a fun trip this next week, so you're leaving today, which means we're recording a lot today.
Yes, it does.
Which means I'm going to be sitting a lot today, so I'm gearing up for it. It's going to be great. Already I'm going to have to stand. This is going to be a really long day, man. I can already tell you. Anyway, you talk now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I mean, when I saw you wrote into the show notes like that you're in such pain at the moment that like you're sorry if you're going to need to stand up during the episode, and in my mind I was like, we'll get going, we'll sort of get in a rhythm. He's not gonna like actually find himself unable to sit here. So I actually am kind of surprised. Like according to our recording device, we've only been turned on for 4 minutes and 25 seconds. So
I'm surprised too, Ben.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely going to be a thing. So hopefully, but maybe what we'll discover is that you'll bring a brand new kind of energy.
Yeah, this is Standing Jay.
Standing Jay. I mean, at the end of the day, like at some point in time, I made the transition to my standing desk.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it literally made a difference in my creative endeavors. So, I mean, there is something to be said for the fact you could quite literally be like in better shape at the moment.
There could be something to it. It's like the microphone only barely reaches my mouth as I'm standing up, so I'm having to focus on that as well. And we've got like a weird limited standing space over here, because why would we need it ever?
Yeah, this has never come up before.
Come up before.
Well, okay. Well, so I mean, are you okay? Shall we continue? Or?
I mean, yeah, we can continue. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. I don't know what to do. I've never had a problem where I couldn't sit down before for like extended periods of time.
It is the most what was it like when you were laying down? Were you in pain lying down?
Lying down was kind of painful too. I had to lay on my stomach all night.
Okay.
I had quite an eventful, just middle of the whole night routine here. I went to bed around like 10:30 or something, and like almost minutes after lying in bed, I just heard a thump from the other room, and it was my son Nate just falling out of bed.
Oh,
just
no.
mid-sleep. I felt so bad for him. Had to go check on him real quick, and he calmed out after a little bit. Came back to my room, managed to fall asleep for a little bit, but only until about, like 2:30 or something, before whatever I was dreaming caused me to like try and sit up in bed. And that really engaged my butt, and it just sent that. It was like I tightened it so much in that moment that I feel like I've been dealing with it since that moment.
Okay.
But that was okay because I was destined to wake up anyway. Because like 30 minutes later, Luke came into my room and he was, I don't know what he said, he had some cramps, and I was like, me too, bro, me too. So then he was laying in our bed, but then I'm awake and I'm just dealing with the pain. So I was like, I gotta get up and walk around because there's no way I'm getting comfortable again. So I do that, and then he's like, well, if you're getting up, I want to get up, and I'm like, no, you gotta stay in bed. We're not getting up. So I'm just like walking around laps, and Luke's like screaming at me on the ground level of the house, like, oh, this is not how I wanted to be at 3 a.m. Finally get him to go back to sleep. I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to get comfortable, get back in bed, be in pain, and be this awake now and fall back asleep. But miraculously, I did. Thank goodness. But then Beth got up at like 5:30 to go running. So it's been a whole eventful night for us.
Can we just all give Jay and Beth like a round of applause for a moment?
You.
Because goodness gracious, man. Like, I feel like the fact that you also got to work. I mean, right now we are here even before like the rest of the team gets here, like to start our day early so that we have extra time. So like on top of everything else, it was also like an early start for the day.
It was, yeah. It was a little bit early, but honestly, it's going to just be like my regular start time here moving forward anyway, because the really exciting thing that happened this week was that Luke started kindergarten.
Luke did start kindergarten.
Yes.
Kind of unbelievable. Very exciting. Like, this is like one of those weird, I think it has like a really big ripple effect through the family where like, when we like the brothers, me, you, and Tyler all started like reaching certain stages in our life. There was like like the first engagements and the first weddings, and then like the firstborn child was Luke, and then for like a while like the whole family was sort of like engaging in all these other massive like first moments that were all very, very exciting and really cool. And I feel like we've been in like a little bit of like a space for a little while here where like, while there have been lots of other firsts, like the ability to, like ride a bicycle and stuff like that, like I feel like this has been like the next obvious major milestone.
Yeah.
That like all of us are striking.
Yeah, basically everyone is going to certainly follow suit. And it's weird to me that like Luke starting school has such an effect on like everyone. It was like, well, Luke's starting school, so now I got to talk to our, trainer Gabriel about like, well, I have to bring him to school at the time of day when the gym usually starts. So either we got to change times or I got to not come, and so that that affects him because my kid's starting school.
Oh right, yeah, that's a good point.
And then like I'll be at work a lot sooner now, so it's like, well, I guess maybe we'll start to get maybe I'll have more time to get stuff done. I don't know.
There's always that possibility.
Always that.
I mean the ever elusive idea of being ahead on work, something that we're always able to accomplish whenever one of us needs to go on vacation or both of us are going on vacation, and then effectively can never accomplish under any other circumstances.
I know.
So.
It is such a weird like mental. It's really like a mental status. It's like if we have the time, we should take more time to make sure the product is good. But if we don't, we just gotta go. We'll just have to trust that we did a good job.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it is really funny. Like whenever you're trying to like determine like what qualifies as like an idea that is like video caliber.
Yeah.
And I think that like there are certainly videos that we've made before. Like where if you were to like try to like really like weigh out the hierarchy or like, does this topic today, like, is it, like, am I crazy? Like, yes. Oh my gosh. I've unearthed like a brand new, observation or theory or whatever about like a piece of media. And, I feel like sometimes it is almost helpful to have the pressure of the deadline, because what that ultimately does is it's kind of like, this is at the moment what I can give this idea is that it's the best one I currently have.
Right. It's like there's no time to fret. We don't have time to fret over it.
No fretting.
We got to do it. We got to be in motion right now. Deadline is happening.
Exactly. Yep. So that's usually how it goes. You're seated again. Are you feeling better?
I'm seated again. I'm trying some different like leg positions to see if that can alleviate some pain. We'll see how long I make it. It's at 10 minutes 54 seconds right now. So we'll see how long we go before the pain takes over and I need to stand again. Right now, I think I'm in a position where it's okay. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, okay. So Luke had his first day of kindergarten yesterday officially. That's really what got us on this topic.
Right.
How did it go? How did he enjoy it? Like, what was the process? Good? Challenging?
I mean, so Yes, all of the above, everything. There was a couple things. Yeah, I felt like I was thinking about it more last night. But so yeah, the day of, we've sort of been talking about, oh yeah, you're going to kindergarten in a couple weeks. It's like next week. It's like, here's all your school supplies. Like it's orientation day. Like tomorrow's the day. Like now it's happening. And he like watches cartoons and stuff where like they go to kindergarten and we read books where there's kindergarten, and so he has like a vague idea of what it's like, and he's been to preschool and stuff. But there's no doubt he could tell like this is a big thing. And so I would say even for like the full week leading up to it, he was feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious about it and stuff, which is completely understandable and stuff. But on the day of, the morning of, it was super interesting as a parent to watch him like try and deal with whatever nerves were erupting inside of him, because I would say he ran the full spectrum of emotions and was like shifting gears like literally almost every 20 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Like he would go from being like really excited to like really angry to just being like really silly, then to being like really sad, then to be like really nervous, and then just like rinse repeat, ran the full gamut over and over. Didn't want to go, was excited to go, wanted to ride the bus, hated the bus, wanted this for breakfast, was happy with this breakfast, then wanted something else. It was just like, oh boy, we're definitely feeling some stuff. But we got him there and got him, we went to the drop-off spot, and he was starting to get like, he started getting a little bit like nervous there again. So we actually had to like pull over, and I walked him up to the door, and he gave me a big hug, and I think he was maybe crying a little bit, but it sounds like once he got back there, he did totally great. They do a really good job at the school. Like we got like an email like 2 hours in. I think they know all the parents, especially of the kindergartners, are like, oh, how's my little boy doing or whatever. They're like, we've been spending a lot of time with the kindergartners this morning, and there's been no tears at all. Everyone's doing great. And I was like, oh, what a comforting email.
Yeah, it's like, thank you for sending this.
This
is so
this.
helpful.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember my first day of kindergarten, and I think that like I remember walking in through the door and meeting my teacher, Miss T. And who was just a like a pure delight. But I think it was like that moment like where you knew like mom was going to leave, because I suppose at this point in time we have video footage of dad and mom following us into the classroom on our first day of school. It's like walk us to our desk,
Yeah, like they had to go all the way in the school.
Yeah, all the way in, and I think it was like the moment like where mom was leaving that like I sort of got like that like frog in my throat, and I was like, oh my gosh, like they're leaving me here and I'm about to be alone, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to manage whatever is about to come. And I think I made it to like the first 2 hours, and we were sitting around like a big foam like square, like the letters of the alphabet like in like little foam floor tiles.
Yeah.
And I think they like the Miss T called on me for something, and I remembered like that was the moment where like I finally like was like, oh my gosh, like I can't speak out loud right now without like tears coming. So like if I continue to sit here and be quiet, I'll probably be fine. But the moment I had to like say something, it was like, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Right. That is, yeah, I do remember that feeling.
And that's like the failure point. So anyway, yeah, that was. I remember my first day of. Do you remember your first day of kindergarten?
I mean, all I definitely remember is like the first like 10 minutes or so. Because like I walked in, and like thankfully at the school we went to, like if you walked through the front doors, my classroom was literally straight ahead.
Okay.
So it was like a very good location for if you were a kindergartner going in. They probably designed it that way on purpose just so that it's easiest for them. But I remember going in, and I didn't really know any of the other kids in the class that we were in. But people were playing all over the place, and I just like found some little like pattern blocks on the shelf, and I kind of got them out, and I was just playing with them on the floor, and I just had one kid come up and say, "Oh, can I play with you?" And I was like, "Okay." And then like a few minutes later, another kid came up and was like, "Can I play with you guys?" I was like, "Okay." And then those two people right there were like my best friends for like the next 7 years.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
that
amazing.
it was like, whoa, it's So I don't know if Luke had an experience like that yesterday where it was just like someone sat next to him and it's like, I'm about to change your life forever.
Right. Yeah.
Like, maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know yet. But it sounds like he had fun. He had fun playing with the kids. When something that's a little different is like when we were in kindergarten, I know like mom picked us up from school, and Luke is just, he's riding the bus. So I was a little nervous about like, well, how's that going to go? Because I mean, where we went to school, getting on the bus at the end of the day was like, it was pretty confusing because there was like a bazillion buses.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot going on, for sure.
But he successfully made it. He got on the bus. He got off at the right stop. Beth picked him up right at the spot. And everything went great. So that was really good. I was proud of him for just getting on the bus and being able to navigate all of that without like, us there.
Like any form of like transit that a kid is having to like manage on their own is definitely like, okay, this is something here. This is like a big layer of independence. Where I mean, I'm sure there's teachers and people who guide them to the right bus and make sure they're not going to be sent to, the wrong area. But
they do have a lot of like systems in place. You can tell they've really fine-tuned this exact process. Like, they get in there and, they know ahead of time whether or not he's riding a bus. And if he is, there's like a little badge they attach to his backpack so that like, one, he's not going to get rid of it or detach it, but so that anyone in the parking lot can help him like find the bus he needs to get on. And then, he was even asking me last night, like, what if I get on the wrong bus? And it was like, well, that probably isn't going to happen because, the bus drivers will know what kids are supposed to be on what bus, and they'll tell you, and there'll be people helping you find it. And he's like, yeah, but what if I do and they don't notice? I'm like, well, then they'll notice eventually because you won't get off, and they'll take you back to school, and we'll have to come pick you up.
There we go. Yeah, there is an eventual solve to this situation.
Is, no doubt.
So the other question I was going to ask you is, do you know how you in particular handle nerves?
Oh, man. Well, I can tell you that especially in like elementary school, not well.
Not okay, but I mean, like, what does it look like? Like, what happens, or like, do you have like a coping mechanism? Is there like anything that you like do when you're nervous? Because I feel like now as an adult, like I very rarely ever see you nervous. Like when we like are about to go and do like a on stage something or another, like usually I'm pretty nervous beforehand. Like, that's like I'm usually not like, oh yeah, par for the course, we're just gonna go talk to some people, no big deal. Like,
right.
It's like I'm usually like feeling it a fair bit, like and I think with that I'll typically like I'll usually get pretty quiet. I feel like I'll like search for or like ask for like affirmations, like like we got this, right? We got this. We got this. We can do this. We got this.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like anything that it's like I always think that like my confidence is like a balloon that you inflated, like just with air from your human self instead of like with helium, and you're trying to like bop it back up in the air, like a game of keep it up. It's like I feel like a lot of times that's how.
It's a keepy uppy.
What's keepy uppy?
Keepy up. That's keeping the balloon in the air.
Oh,
that's what they call the game in Bluey.
Oh, that's all. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game. Great game.
Yep.
Yeah, we listen to a lot of Bluey music in the car, and there's like one or two lines from the episode at like to start the song usually. And so the episode for Keepy Uppy, where it's just playing the music from the episode, starts, and like they walk out, and the mom's like, "Have I got a game for you?" And they're like, "Is it Keepy Uppy?" Yeah, it's Keepy Uppy. So I've heard that a lot.
Nice. Keep you up to the game. So anyway, but spotlight back on you. Feel the pressure. Nerves.
Feel the pressure, the nerves. That's a good question. You're right. I don't have to deal with nearly as many nerves in like my adult life as I feel like remember having to do growing up. I think when you're an adult, it's so much easier to avoid situations that would make you nervous if you don't want to engage with them. Whereas like if you're a kid and you have to do a presentation in front of the class, there's no avoiding it at all. You will have to do it.
Yes. Like at some point in time, the teacher is going to call your name, and you are going to have to stand before the class and do the thing. Yeah, you're right. It's a good point.
What's weird is that like while I like absolutely hated doing that in school. I hated having to give like reports in front of the class or presentations or PowerPoints or whatever. But like as an adult, I almost never feel nervous about stuff like that. And I think it's because whenever we're asked to do anything like that nowadays, it's because we're quote unquote experts or like very familiar with what we're talking about. It's like I'm not being asked to go give a report about potassium or something.
Yes.
It's like people are asking us to come talk about YouTube, and it's like there's almost nothing you can ask me about my career that I don't know, because I personally lived through it and have experience in almost everything you could be asking. And if I don't, I also just sort of know it's like, well, it's okay to just say, I don't know. That's a great question. I probably have a tangential answer I could give you anyway.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And that is like the thing. Like I remember giving my my country speech in world geography in 8th grade. I had the nation of Tonga.
Oh man,
to discuss. But like this, you're exactly right. Like going into that presentation, it's not like I become an expert on Tonga where I had a lot of information about this particular nation in my head that I for some reason was like, well, this doesn't really make the presentation, but like I have some cool fun facts about the country otherwise that I might throw to if asked particular questions or something like that. So it's like, if you get off track, if you get off or away from your index cards at all, then it's not like you can just pick up where you left off with this big pool of knowledge that's floating inside of your head.
Right.
And I would say for the most part, for me, the way that I go about doing stuff like this is that like I have I don't even think that for the most part my brain lets me genuinely learn the information. For the most part, I am holding it as like a mental cache inside of my head that is like soon to be cleared.
Right.
It's like by the end of this presentation and by the time I get like my grade for this assignment, like whew, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's like I don't have a practical use for this kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
I've thought about this a lot before, like even going through the process of like, cause Allie and I were like, we're not terribly far off from Addie's, second birthday. And so we were talking a little bit the other day about, just the rigmarole of like pregnancy and like the process of going to like the hospital and like all the various like ins and outs and like all the things that I had like come to know extremely well about like what it was like to have a child while we were going through the process of having a child. And, but like all of those details, like the like induction and like all the terms and everything, like they were all incredibly top of mind while we were there. Like I knew while we were going through the process of it, but like now looking back on it, if people were like, oh, you've had a kid, like, all this type of stuff. It's like, no, I sure don't know all this type of stuff. Like,
I know exactly
I didn't
what you
keep
mean.
any of it in my mind at all.
Yeah, like I remember going through like the pre-pregnancy or like the pregnancy classes and them telling you like, okay, this is what you'll need to know like on the day of, like this is the breathing patterns, and you're right. Okay, this many seconds, this much time between one. All right, that's when we need to go to the hospital. It's like it's all very present and very obvious, and like exactly the feeding schedule that children should be on, and like exactly when they should be crawling and when they should start eating solid foods. And it's like, you know what? I went through that 3 times and I couldn't tell you at all when you're supposed to start eating solid foods,
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's like it makes sense in real time as it's happening. It doesn't make me an expert on this particular topic, though.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of times, like in movies, you'll see characters who are like unexpectedly good with kids or something. And it's like, yeah, I have 3 nieces, and it's like as if that would be absolute qualification to be like truly spectacular in every way with any child of which isn't the one that has the specific parameters that yours does.
Yeah, right. So actually, on this particular note, I felt like there was going back to like Luke going to kindergarten this week. I was thinking last night that like the entire time, like getting ready for him to go to kindergarten reminded me a lot of like preparing for like him being born, where I think so often when you're having a kid, especially like your first kid, so much of the time and effort is put into thinking about like having the kid like the day they are born.
Okay.
Like what are we going to do at the hospital? What are we going to do? And like and then I feel like the trap a lot of people fall into is like not thinking a ton about what to do after the kid is born. Like so much emphasis is on the birth itself that like maybe you've got your nursery, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, maybe I should have been studying like how to change a diaper or like burping or stuff like that. Like
Yes.
none of the like actual like raising the kid. It was all about like having the kid. And I felt like as I was getting ready for bed last night, I was kind of getting some of like Luke's lunch stuff ready to go. It was like so much of my effort has been thinking about like Luke's going to school. This is going to be his first day. And then I was getting ready last night I was like, you know what though? I don't think I, put enough thought into like, I'm going to be preparing these lunches every night forever,
Oh, sure. Yes, right.
Like there was a lot of emphasis on like getting him to school. Now I got to start focusing on like he's in school. So that was just sort of like a weird correlation that I noticed there. And it was like, man, because he's even been going to summer camps and stuff over the summer, and I would, you'd sort of fall into like a quick little routine, like, okay, there's a little bit of extra work we have to do every single day to make sure he has like a lunch and a snack and a water and gets up and gets dressed and out the door by this specific time. But like, I only really have to try this hard for like 4 days. And then we can get back to normal here. But it's like, no, this is going to be the new normal. And not only is it going to be the normal, but soon Nick and Nate are going to be here too. And that's going to be the real normal for like a very long time.
It's very true. It's very true. And the thing I think about all the time is like I think for a good stretch of like my high school years and everything, I was extremely good about just like waking up of my own accord and getting ready in the morning and showering and doing breakfast and all of that type of stuff. But like the earlier years, like, going through elementary school and stuff like that, like where you didn't wake up and shower before school, I sleep hard. And like you could wake me up in the morning and I will be back asleep in 3.5 seconds. Like I know that you do not have like this, like you struggle with this particular thing where it's like if something wakes you up a lot of times, you're just like awake.
I'm just awake.
And my
new struggle is that I'm awake, but I'm not like popping out of bed.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right. That's fair. That's fair. But so like, typically the big thing I think for me was getting me out of bed at all.
Yeah.
And like the thing that I always think about now as an adult and on like the other side of the spectrum and seeing like how Addie's behaviors are is that like it's a great thing on our end of the spectrum, especially now that like Addie will just like sleep in the mornings.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, like if it's like the weekend and we don't need to get up, like we can get to like 8:15 and she might still just be asleep.
Miraculous.
I know, it is amazing. However, the thought has started to occur to me. It's like, even as an adult, like waking up early is really not my forte. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I will always get up for what I have to get up for, but I will usually not ever get up earlier than I need to for any reason at all.
I mean, why would you?
Exactly. No, I mean, that's the thing. But like, there are plenty of people who I feel like get up in the morning and they have like their whole routine, and that routine does not like exclusively things that are like directly required, like in getting you from awaking and exiting the building.
Yeah.
It's like, people do like do things in the morning on purpose before work. And like, we get up and go to the gym and stuff like that. It's like there's certainly, that aspect of doing something that before the work starts. But like even leaving for the gym, I'm not getting up and doing anything other than the necessary things that I need to do to leave for the gym.
Right. And I try and account for as many minutes of sleep as possible in there.
Yes. Yeah. And so the big thing though that I'm curious about, especially seeing that like Addie seems like somewhat similar to me in this regard, is I'm like, what am I going to do when it is my responsibility to make sure that she is like, on the bus by 7:15 in the morning or whatever. And I too am bad at waking up early, but like maybe this will just become the new thing where it's like, but you have to, because this is the have to. Like,
yeah, I know. It's like, this is, it feels very much like this is one of the weird magics of school where it's like, I think sometimes like when you're in college, it's, you learn a lot of stuff and you learn, skills for your professional life, but so much about what you learn is just like life, like just doing stuff, just being on your own, sort of like having, learning how to exist by yourself. And already, you're right, I can already see this like cropping up, like how just like the need to be at school on time is something that like I could never, like without there being like a hard deadline set by someone else, like there's no driving force between like me getting Luke out the door by a specific time. It's like I am much more willing to like be lenient about it and just be like, all right, just please, we're trying to go over to Nana's for breakfast, all right, So
Right.
it was like, we're supposed to be there by 7:30, but realistically, if we get there by 8, doesn't really matter,
Yes, like there will still be food, and everybody
Yeah.
will still be happy to see us when that moment comes.
Exactly. Not the case with school. Must be there by a certain time. So yeah, even just this morning, it was like, I haven't quite settled into like, what is the amount of time Luke is going to need in the morning to get ready and get out the door, because I think it was like 6:55 or something, and I was like, he is still asleep at the moment, and we need to be in the car driving by like 7:20. So it was like 25 minutes. Is that enough time to like wake up, eat breakfast, get in the car, and go? It's like, yes, I guess it's enough time if it all goes the way you want it to go.
Right, yeah. In an optimal world, which that's the other thing too, is I feel like this is something about myself, is that like I think far too frequently the way that I do approach life is through the lens of optimization.
Yeah.
Like as if like I know that it takes me 7 minutes to get somewhere, which means that I will leave when there is 7 minutes to go
Right.
between me and getting there. And it's like, if I am late, it's because traffic happened, but it's like you need to account on some level for the potential for traffic, but it's usually like, no, that was beyond my control.
Yeah.
like I know it takes me 7 minutes to get here, if not for this circumstance, which I know is not the best approach to most things in life. However, I think that it's like I want to do so many different things all the time that like I ultimately feel like a lot of times this ends up like being my compromise. Like it's the way I'm able to like balance like being able to get as much done in as many different areas as possible. It's just like, well, I will my goal is to not be late for the thing, but I will leave on time for the thing. And if I arrive late for the thing, then it's probably because of something that like I couldn't have accounted for.
Yeah, it's not because you didn't leave on time.
Exactly. Yeah. But like most people know arriving on time accounts for that traffic,
Right.
that red light, like the
Right.
the road work or whatever,
Right. No one's ever upset that you were somewhere early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that being said, I had a guy so this was super top of mind because he was doing work across the street from my house, on my across the street neighbor's house, and he does fencing, and his name is John, and he is honestly pretty amazing in every single way for being the guy who installed your fence.
Sure.
Like his like wife shops at Allie's store and stuff like that. Like we oddly like keep running into them and like so many other like facets of like our world. However, when we were first getting our fence meeting set up, he had said to arrive for an 8 a.m. appointment, and he arrived at 7:40. And I was like, I am mad at you for arriving early. Right now. I just want you to know, like 7:40, like 20 minutes before 8 a.m., that was too early to arrive.
7:40, like he knocked on your door at 7:40?
Knocked on my door at 7:40.
Oh yeah, no. Like if you get if it's so yeah 8 a.m. If you want to arrive at 7:40, that means you did a good job accounting for the traffic, but you should be just sitting in your car waiting until 8.
Yes, yeah. But like, I mean, the thing about everything about the way that I've interacted with this guy makes me think that efficiency is far and away the most important aspect. Like if you can get him on the phone, which you always can, he will be on the phone with you for fewer than 15 seconds.
That
like,
is impressive.
It's like, what's the problem? The gate? Okay, we'll be there tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
And it's just sort of like, it's like, wow, okay. This guy just like clearly it's just someone who gets stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it goes completely counter to my exact argument I just said. Like I'm trying to get so much stuff done that I'm trying to run on like optimal efficiency. Like what is that like must exit time by in order to like achieve a like on time arrival? And he's just like, I'll just be there 20 minutes early and they'll just deal with it. Like, who's gonna be mad at me for being 20 minutes early? The answer is me.
Yeah. Well, if it's 7:40 in the morning, that definitely seems like it warrants some frustration. Ben, do you know what is not efficient?
Okay, what is not efficient?
Sometimes, I'm just going to say it, Ben. Sometimes the Virginia court system is not an efficient thing.
What a segue.
I know. What a flaming hot take, right?
Yes, yes, I'm sure.
The
The courts are not efficient. Okay, so lay it on me, Jay. What type of crime have you committed?
Well, Ben,
that you have found yourself in the court system.
You'll remember that maybe about 6 weeks ago, or maybe not. I don't know if I told it on the main episode. I got just rear-ended in my car.
Yes.
Yeah, I was taking Luke to summer camp / just coming to work. came up to a red light. The guy behind me did not stop and just like crunched into me. And I don't think it could have been going very fast at all. His car looked pretty bad, which makes me wonder maybe he was going faster than I thought. But my car was fine. Me and Luke were fine, I think, although I'm not entirely sure. It's not responsible for my present butt injury 6 weeks later. And it's just been like a slow motion injury happening to me over time that I'm unable to pinpoint the source of.
It seems like this is possible.
It does seem possible. But anyway, not relevant. The unfortunate thing about this situation, other than being hit and having to go through all like the insurance and all of that nonsense and stuff, is that when the officer showed up to like come collect both me and the other driver's information, I had hit him my license, and my license had expired, so I had not, I just hadn't renewed it yet, and he was like, well, sort of a bummer because you didn't really do anything wrong, but I do have to give you a ticket for this. And I was like, yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah. What I find to be somewhat hilarious about this particular story is that I feel like under most circumstances, your license wouldn't have expired. However, I do know that your license photo has just the most remarkable image of you from high school.
Well, it did.
You have somehow managed to, all the way from age 16 to 35?
Yeah.
You have managed somehow to keep the same photo on your license.
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of the most, it is honestly, and like, I commend you for this because it is a really cool party trick where like, you're out like with people who you don't know or whatever, or like, like on a business dinner or something like that. And there's like if you get ID'd by the person, like the waiter, there's always like the moment or the ability to be like, you guys want to see my driver's license photo?
Yeah.
because it's like, that's you. Like, and every single person, like there's like a reverse issue where if your driver's license photo looked like how you look like now and you looked like your driver's license photo, people would be 100% sure that it was a fake.
You think?
Yes, I absolutely think so, because you got like this, like you look like a kid. You got really long hair.
Yeah.
It was do you still have the old driver's
I
license?
do still have the old driver's license, so maybe we can get a photo of it somewhere.
Yeah, for the show notes or
for the show notes or something. Yeah, it was back in my shaggy hair days.
Oh my gosh.
For sure. And
Yeah.
like most people's driver's license pictures, I feel like they're not very happy with, and I'll say I'm not super pleased with my new one.
Oh, my new one's truly dreadful.
Yeah, I don't love it. They angle the lights such that there's like a shadow underneath your ears, which makes everyone's ears look like weirdly long and terrible, and it happened to me. And
awfully lobular.
awfully. It's also set for like a 5'8" person, and I'm 6'1", which means I had to tilt my head down a little bit, just enough to create like a sort of a double chin look on my license, which
Nice.
like I don't have.
Right.
Like if I could have just lowered my knees a little, or if I could have seen, I don't know why they can't just let you see what it's going to look like, probably because it'd be there forever and no one would be happy with it, but then maybe everyone would be happy with it. Doesn't matter. My old one was great. Not only did I manage to get a smile in when I think that was when they told you not to smile. Now they're like, we don't care, just smile.
Okay.
I managed to get a smile in, and the thing about having shaggy hair is that it doesn't always look fantastic, but on this particular day, it was looking maybe the best that it ever looked, and they captured it on my driver's license. It was great, and yeah, it looks so different than I look now, because now I have like glasses and short hair that I like gel up, and this was just like no glasses, hair down, almost to my shoulders. I think like it was a very different looking me.
It was yeah.
Yeah.
It was during our, like, the thing is, and this is actually, it's always like one of those things, but it really, because it truly doesn't matter either way. But like people are always like, oh, I went through that Bieber phase, and I was like, well, Steve Prefontaine.
Looked like this was pre-Bieber, okay? And this predates Biebs.
Exactly. Yeah. So like it's like one of those things, but like nobody knows. Not nobody, but very few people know the reference to the 1972 Munich Olympics 4th place finisher in the 5,000 meter distance.
Exactly.
Like I don't understand why this isn't like a complete household name for all people all the time and always.
All the time and always.
But like we were big runners in high school, and this, I feel like for me at the very least, was who who I was modeling my hair after. Definitely not Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
But like the thing is like when I like try to like explain to people who, if I don't have like a photo reference on hand, I'm like, yeah, that's where I had like the Bieber hair, and I'm like, now I'm describing it this way too.
Right. Just so you get an idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to give you like the ballpark, something
Yeah.
to work off of.
So anyway, the officer is there examining my glorious driver's license and photo, and notices that it's expired, and he has to write me a ticket for it, which is a bummer because, like, man, if I just didn't get hit, I wouldn't have gotten the ticket.
Right.
It's like, now not only do I have to fix this, but I have to pay this as well. Bummer. Since then, I've gotten the new license and whatever, so not like a huge I did need to do it anyway because it was starting to be a problem, like getting on planes where you need like the new Real ID license or whatever. Anyway, I went finally. I could see on the ticket that the court date was coming up and that I had not paid the ticket ahead of time. And I didn't want to go to court because that's just like feels like a whole day when you got to go to court.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for something like this. I'm like, I just want to pay it, be done with it. And for whatever reason, I remember even when the officer handed me the ticket, he did not write the amount for the ticket on it. And I was like, I even asked him, like, how much is it? And he's like, oh, I'm not writing that on there. You just have to call the number and find out. And I was like, what do you, no, why? But the number is going to be frustrating. And sure enough, Ben, the number is frustrating.
Yeah.
You just got to sit there and listen to just this, it's a pre-recorded message listing every single potential thing you could have done wrong in your car, and how much it's going to cost you.
Right.
And I listened to the whole thing, and at no point did they get to expired license. It'll be this amount. And I'm like, well, wait, why? You said every other thing. They're like, if you want to look it up online or pay it online, you can go to this website. And I was like, oh my gosh, the website's going to be more annoying than this auto-recorded message. And sure enough, it was, because it's like a government kind of website, and you got to click through 1,000 things. And I was able to even look up the ticket, and it's like, there it is. I found it. Boom. How much is it? No dollar amount listed. And I'm like, where's the button to pay it? Is this just a record of it where I can't pay it? And I go through and I have to like read through all these little like instruction things, and it's like, if you can pay it ahead of time online, it'll be a button right here. And there was no button. I was like, great. Okay. I'm in the zone now. I've gone through 2 layers of frustration. We're not that far from the courthouse. I'm just going to go pay it in person. I'm just going to drive down there. It'll be done. It'll be frustrating. I'll probably have to wait in lines, but it'll be done. So I go down there. I get an amazing parking spot right in front of the courthouse.
Because you always do. You manifested.
I don't know what to tell you. I was pretty happy. I was like, man, this is great. I walk in, literally nobody going through security. I'm the only one. I have a nice little chat with the guys there. I'm like, thank you guys so much. They send me upstairs. I walk right up to the counter. There's no line at all. I cannot believe it. The woman walks right up, and I hand her the ticket, and then she's like, all right, thanks. And she's like looking through it. She pulls it up, and she's like, oh, yeah, you can't pay this ahead of time. This is actually a misdemeanor. And I was like, what? What do you mean I can't pay it ahead of time? The cop said I could pay it ahead of time. He checked the box. And she looks at him and he goes, he did check the box. He shouldn't have done that. You can't pay this ahead of time. You have to come to the court date. It's like, no, what? It's like, dude, what a bad box to check when you're not allowed to go actually pay it ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean that's the type of thing where it's like you just lost me hours of my life. Because you checked a box.
Yeah, but it also like explained why everything else was not yielding an answer, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. But this is it's the type of thing where it reminds me of Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove, and he like wakes up in the middle of the night and he's like, the peasant of the diner.
Yeah.
He didn't pay his bill.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I wonder if like that, like this particular officer woke up in the middle of the night and was like, I checked the box.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Well, I hope he did.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, my gosh. And now I have to go to court next week, which it's so frustrating because like the court, the hearing can only go, 2 ways. Either I will say, I have gotten my license renewed since then. Here it is. And the judge will say, great. No charges. Thanks for fixing it. See you next time. And I'll say, not if I can help it, and we'll have a good laugh. Or they'll say,
we'll have a good laugh.
Or
nice.
I'll say, here's my new license. I've got it renewed. And they'll be like, great job. That'll be $50. You can pay it at the window. And I'll be like, yeah. Thanks. Thanks. Tried to 3 times last week, but whatever. So I don't know even how much it's going to be. Hopefully it won't be anything, but now I have to go to court, and it was so frustrated that I got hit by a car, and now I've had to deal with all of this, and maybe my butt hurts as a result too. So
yeah,
anyway.
and you have a new photo on your driver's license.
And I have a new photo on my driver's license.
So much for that like conversation starter that we've used on so many different occasions.
It's all everything, it's all gone now.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's
have
too
to
bad.
Take a new one. I know.
There you go. Well, next week we're gonna have to get a good quality update on.
Yeah, I'll tell you what court was like.
What was it like at court?
Yeah. Here, me over here committing misdemeanors. Ugh. Anyway, I guess. Let's talk about you. Did you get the boat working for Vermont?
Nice.
Speaking of vehicular problems.
That's a good segue as well. You were on a roll today for someone who is struggling with
sitting.
Yes, of course that. So no, the hilarious thing that keeps running through my brain is there's that like really famous scene from Clone Wars where Ahsoka's like, I'm no Jedi.
Yeah.
And the one that's been going through my head is way less cool. It's I'm no boat mechanic.
Yeah.
And it's because like, oh my gosh, like I spent so much time last weekend with my good buddies Big Steve and Kevin, and we together had I did the math on it, combined 27 man hours throughout the weekend, so 9 hours with 3 of us at work basically tinkering with the boat and trying to problem solve all the various issues. So the very short version of it was that like I could get the boat in the water, I could turn it on, it would start puttering, it would like drive forward at like a slow speed, less than like maybe 5-6 miles an hour or something like that. Not even really enough for the speedometer to like show you that you are like traveling at like a speed.
Right. You're not even causing you're at no wake zone speeds.
Exactly. Yeah. So I can keep everybody very happy except for anybody who's on the boat with me who's now incredibly bored. And every time I would shift the boat then forward and like try to accelerate, it would just die without fail all the time and always. And so we had gone through, I have like looking, I mean, I'm actually somewhat proud of myself because, you're looking at all these like diagrams and schematics online and like the thing is that the motor was built in 1973.
Goodness.
And so like there's this big like, question mark over my head as to like whether or not like any parts are even available for it at all. And I may have said this before too, but like every time I do find a part, I almost feel like I need to like check out rapidly as if I just found like a rare Pokemon card on eBay that was like listed like under value or something. And it's like someone else is going to see this before I hit send on it. But like, I bet this is the last replacement part for this motor
that exists.
And I think what I've learned throughout the process is that like, despite the fact that it is a much older boat, I'm not the only person in the world who is working on boats of this age. So there are parts out there. They do exist. Well, we've gone through, we replaced the whole engine has basically like effectively been rebuilt at this point in time. Like if I could find a replacement part for it, we did it, we replaced it. And in the process of taking the whole thing apart, I'm learning just an absolute tremendous amount about like all of this stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I have to say, like there is like this big frustration that you sometimes have, like where like you'll meet people who know like a lot of like hands-on abilities or whatever, and I'm just like, when did you learn? Like what day of class did I miss where like I didn't get the opportunity to be taught this lesson?
Right.
Like why would I know how to do this? And
right.
It's like because it never came up. Like it's not, and that's the thing though. That's the thing to reassure yourself. It's not that this stuff is like necessarily impossible to learn. It's just you need to have the excuse to do it.
Yeah.
Which I officially have. So now I know what a carburetor looks like. So there's that.
Booyah.
Yeah. High five to myself.
Wow. Brag much?
I know. Not to brag, but I know what a car. So
I do know what a carburetor
This is the good
like,
thing about your driver's license not being the same. It's like, if we're in need of a conversation, I'll just be like, do you guys know what carburetors look like? Because I do.
Yeah. You're going to be like, I'm going to go talk to this guy.
Yeah, I'm leaving this conversation now. But wait, I was going to tell you about carburetor cleaner.
Yeah.
One of the most miraculous.
Do you know about Stable?
Stable is a fuel additive that helps keep your engine healthy.
Wow.
Not sponsored. But so like, we're going through, we're taking everything apart. We're like, disconnecting all these hoses. We're taking a million pictures of everything to make sure that like when we put it back together, it comes back together in a way that like makes sense and like is not,
Yeah.
like incorrect or whatever.
Yeah, like you're not going to put it back in reverse or miss a piece somewhere.
Yes, yeah. All of the above seem incredibly possible.
Oh yeah, when I was taking apart my shower, I was like, boy, the real miracle is going to be if I could put it back together.
I know. Yeah, and whenever whenever I'm thinking about little kernels at home, listening to us to a talk about like any of like the repair things that we've subjected ourselves to over the past couple of years, I'm always like, you're either the same amount or less handy than we are, and you're sort of like, I don't even know what they're talking about, this is all ridiculous, what's a carburetor? Or you are more handy than us to the point where it's like, wow, these guys really don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Yeah, there's no in between whatsoever. I would like to know who and how every person who listens is. It's like, is it over your head or under your head, so to speak? But either way, so we go through, we're like, as we're putting stuff back together, we're finding other problems too. So it's kind of like, it's a really old motor. It's been used a lot. But it's been really interesting to be like, oh my gosh, like this hose that connects the fuel line, like it has a very clear like rip in the side of it. It's like, when it comes down to it, that could have been the problem the whole time.
Right. Like, maybe we thought we were working on this. Maybe that's the problem.
Yes. Yeah. So, but like, you're going through all this, and the big issue is that you're in your driveway. So like, you don't have a great way to like, like with your car, for example, if you put everything back together and you're like, I'm going to see if it works, you put the key in the ignition, you start it, and you can maybe or maybe not drive down the street and see if it works. However, with this particular situation, and this is not like a clever solution, it's just what people do. But if you recall, either from my vlogs or the Frozen trivia quiz that we did last year for Super Carlin Brothers, we had these like stainless steel water troughs that I was using for like ice baths for a long time.
Yes.
And I also use them in my garden as like the raised bed planters and stuff. So I had an extra one. And so what we did was we dropped the boat motor in my driveway into one of those and filled it up with water. So once we had everything pieced back together, we literally had the ability to start it and like run the motor in water in my driveway.
That's pretty impressive.
I know, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember getting the video being like, well, look at that. Yeah, that's fun.
It was pretty neat. So, because the thing is that the boat itself needs water to cool itself. Like, your car has like a radiator built into it, and like when you're driving a boat, the water that the boat is in is the radiator effectively. So that's how it stays cool, in case you're ever wondering, and probably aren't. But so like, we go through the process of like trying to fire it up. Like I'm making like all these like little adjustments. So like, I have like, not only are, Kevin and Big Steve there, but also like their significant others and like Allie are all there. So like, we gotta have this like drum roll please moment, like, from Christmas Vacation, where he's about to like turn on the Christmas lights, and it goes exactly that way. It's like,
it's like not started. Like, what?
Oh my God,
Russ, did you check all the light bulbs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it doesn't start. Finally, I do like a bunch of other things, and I finally get it to start, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like, what a breakthrough. And then, like the problem is I go to like shift it forward to like see if like the propeller will start spinning in my water trough. And the second I push it forward, it dies. And I'm like, no. I replaced so many things that were visibly broken.
Right.
How is it possible that I haven't found the solution yet?
Right. Like, how is it possible that it was running ever? Now I fixed like all the things, but not the thing.
Not the thing. So anyway, like go through the process. I like, and basically we're like, I keep figuring, and this is what I mean by like, I'm no boat mechanic. Because like what I'm doing is like trying to discover things that are broken and just replacing them without any diagnostics whatsoever. So like, and that is really the big stage here. It's like replacing parts. You might have to be careful and pay attention and all the rest, and like, have a clean workspace and the right tools and stuff. But like, it is doable. The thing is knowing what to change.
Yeah.
And so that's, or even if you've like toggled something in a way or like tightened a screw that wasn't supposed to be tightened, it's like most people who know not to do that.
Oh yeah, something like that would be like mind blowing. Like I went through, I tightened all the screws. Like this one actually you're supposed to leave a little bit loose so that there's some room to vibrate for for here or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Like just something of the sort, or like the screw isn't holding something on; it's actually like a pressure release valve or something like that. So it needs a little bit of like open.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just trying to invent something that would make sense. Either way, though, finally like go through the process, get it all square. Like I feel like I have it successfully running in my water trough, which was pretty cool because then like like when you crank it forward a little bit, it like literally just blasts all the water clean out of the water trough, and I was like, wow, that was kind of interesting to see happen. Yeah. So Dad and I take it down to the lake the other day, like at sunset, because we're like, it was during like his lunch hour at work, which happens to be like from like 7 to 9 p.m. at night. And we're out there and we go through the process and like, we like offload it and like, we're kind of like chugging our way out to like the main area so we can like open it up. We push the lever down and the thing freaking goes. And it was like, no way! Like, because the big dilemma with all this is that like today I'm getting ready to leave for my annual trip to Vermont, where I really want the ability to use the boat. And the thing about getting it up there is that it's a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
And the big question is whether or not it's worth trailering this thing the whole way.
Yeah.
To only have it be like a headache while I finally get there.
Right. Yeah. Like, are you just gonna drag a bunch of extra gas, like mileage?
Yes. Exactly.
No payoff at all.
No payoff whatsoever.
Yeah, because driving with a trailer, way more stressful than driving without a trailer.
Yes, by such a incredible margin. Because every single turn you take, every single like maneuver, it's like you have to be thinking about not just your vehicle, but like an entire extra length of vehicle behind you. So anyway, we get out there, everything's going super great. We're still making like some like on boat modifications as we're moving forward with everything, and we are getting to like essentially take the boat out of the water. And like in the last like minute and a half, like all of my confidence that I had like filled up in my like keep it up balloon is like all of a sudden like very quickly draining from the situation, because it's like at high speeds the boat was running great and like it would go fast and straight and no problem, but like whenever you're taking the boat out of the water or putting it in the water or navigating like specific areas, it needs to be able to go slow.
Right.
Or like if you're like fishing, for example, and you want to like go and like be near that log, you have to be able to like kind of like putter up to the log. You don't approach the log at 25 miles an hour.
Right.
Like skid stop. Boats don't have brakes, by the way, in case you never thought about that before. They just sort of stop whenever they stop.
Throw it in reverse.
Yeah, you could throw it in reverse. That can sometimes work. Slow it down a little bit. However, yeah, that's the problem. So I have I can go fast if it's going fast, but I have very minimal control over like the slow moving speed maneuverability. So anyway, I'm planning to bring it.
Okay.
Hopefully it goes well, and I don't end up spending the entire week. This is Alice's big concern. She's like, I don't really care if the boat doesn't work. What's gonna bother me is if you spend the entire week trying to fix it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. So I'm trying to bring myself to like a center point and be like, you know what? There's a line you can't cross. Like, it's like if we get up there and it works a little bit, you take advantage of it while it's working a little bit. And if it stops working, it's like you're just gonna have to deal.
Just gonna have to deal.
Yeah.
Just like this isn't a boat trip anymore.
It's not a boat trip.
Or we got to use the other boat or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
There's that.
So.
Well, you know what? There's this line in the movie Finding Nemo. There's this fantastic moment where they're out at the drop off, and the drop off, and Marlin comes in. He's like, Nemo, you're you know what? We'll try next year. You're not ready for school yet, or whatever. And this is the breaking point. And Nemo goes out, and he's like, he sees this like this boat sitting on the water, and he goes up, and they keep yelling at him to come back, and his friends are like, he's gonna touch the butt. And I feel like that's just the perfect pun right now, because as you're describing it, I was like, you know what? My butt and your boat are like the same thing right now. I could go walk, no problem. I could even run pain-free, but I can't freaking sit down and go slow.
Wow.
This is so annoying.
It has been, that is such a remarkable and unexpected, perfect comparison.
It's exactly the same.
He's going to touch the butt.
You think I need a new carburetor?
Yeah, I think you need a new carb, yeah. Oh my gosh, guys! I don't think there's a better place for us to close out today's episode than that. The exciting thing that I would like to tell you guys about, because we got some fun news on ye old horizon, which is that GoFest is once again going to be a thing for 2023. It is the weekend of October 13th and 14th. We will be doing a live episode of Popcorn Culture for free at GoFest on Saturday, October 14th. And if you are interested in coming to town to Roanoke for the event on the 13th, the night before, we are going to be hosting a trivia in-person event at a very cool local theater here in Roanoke called the Grandin Theater. It is like a living piece of history. The theater space that we have rented out has 300 seats available, so there is a limited number available if you'd be interested in attending. Tickets for that particular event, again, it could be the Friday night before GoFest, so you can come and see two different Super Carlin Brothers in-person performances inside of the same weekend. Link for tickets to that are going to be in the show notes or the description down below, so be sure to check it out. We hope to see you there, but otherwise, until next time,
Pop.